Oh my God! Please don't reproduce. What's up, guys? It's Devin Harrington, the average Gen Xer, and welcome back to my channel where I talk about things that interest me. And today we're going to take a look at what are, in my opinion, some of the saddest posts from Regretful Parents. And it is all people who wish they could turn back time. I mean, you were expecting that, right? Anyway, let's get over to the sub and see what these folks have to say. But first, this is the part of the video where I encourage and beg and plead with any and all animal lovers to please consider fostering or volunteering on site with your local animal shelter. This is Niles here, and this is Daphne, and they are obviously named after characters from Frasier. But I've been calling her Peanut or Princess Peanut and this guy Buster. They were found in a cardboard box in front of a dumpster at a gas station, and luckily someone brought them to the Austin Animal Center and I was available to foster. So these babies get to grow up in a home and be trained and learn how to live in a house, and that makes them incredibly more adoptable than if they grew up in the shelter. So if you love animals, please consider helping. The U.S. is in a complete crisis with every animal rescue organization needing help. If you are partial to a certain breed, there is usually a rescue group for every breed you can imagine, and they all need volunteers and fosters. So please give it a shot. And now on to the video. Okay, so the first post is from Coconut Venom. That's a really cool name. And it's called Turn Back Time. Venting, no advice. If I could turn back time, I wouldn't let my family talk me into keeping my child. I got pregnant at 20 by a guy I was dating. When I found out, I told him and my bestie at the same time. Told them to keep it quiet because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I knew I didn't want to have kids yet, so I was going between abortion or adoption. My baby daddy told my parents, oh, what a guy. And I was unaware of that. One night, they invited me over for dinner. Oh, Jesus Christ. And when I arrived, my whole immediate family was standing around the table. My parents, my grandparents, my brothers, my punk-ass stepmother, my uncle with his wife, and my sister-in-law. We don't typically get together like that unless it's a holiday, and I was very confused and scared of what could be wrong. Well, it comes to find out it was an intervention for me. This poor girl was 20 years old. Clearly, she is not prepared to be a mom at 20 years old. And she wanted to do the right thing. She was open to either abortion or adoption, which is her right. And her family went to this length to shame her into shame and guilt into keeping a baby she didn't want. That should be a crime, in my opinion. Totally be a crime. She goes on, they talked about how we don't abort babies in this family or give them away. If I didn't want the child, my stepmom, who I hate, always have, it's a long story, isn't it always? Would adopt him, or the family would simply step in a major way to help me raise him. Oh yeah, the old promise, we'll help you. And then, yeah, they're nowhere to be seen. She goes on, I was raised in the church. Yep, that's fucking obvious. So they threw that one at me too. I allowed them to convince me to keep a child I never intended to keep, and I regret it almost every day. I would never let my stepmom adopt him, and I could have lived the life I wanted. Instead, I'm broke every week, unable to afford groceries or go to the laundromat regularly, and the help they offered seems more like they want something to hold over your head. I should feel bad they have to help me raise him when this is never what I wanted to begin with. The baby daddy who told on me isn't even in the picture, of course. Could have guessed that one. Like he should be. He doesn't contribute at all, not even with seeing him, but he still tries to get back with me, even after all these years, after telling him no 1,000 times. He's only a good dad if he can date me. Other than that, he could care less. Oh, man. So we have doomed this baby to being raised by a resentful mom and a narcissistic father who doesn't give a shit about him. So well done, religious people. She goes on. So why did you even tell on me? Why make me have a child you didn't want? Either it was all a trick to keep me around, and I hate everyone that was involved in convincing me to have this child. Now I'm basically raising my baby daddy because my son is just like him. Horrible attitude with a bad anger problem, ADHD, and bad eyesight. My baby daddy was adopted, by the way, him and his sister together as babies, and he loves his mom. It's been 12 years. Oh, and I'm still angry. Being a mother is depressing, unrewarding, nothing I ever aspired to be a part of. I always wanted to be like my auntie. She never had kids before she passed, but she was the most happy and at peace woman I ever met. She lived her life by her own rules, and I always admired that about her, even wanted to live in the same apartment complex as her, but I never got to do that either. Ugh. God, this one really speaks to me because I have two aunts that I grew up with, and they're both child-free, and they both went on to get multiple master's degrees and travel and do really artsy things. One of my aunts was a costume designer for a Shakespearean festival, and the other has a master's in art and was always taking me to art museums, and I just thought they were so cool, and I am thrilled to say I was successful in being like my aunts, and I just feel for this poor girl. I would be 10 times as miserable as her. No, I would probably be in prison because I would not be able to stand it, and I would snap. And if you haven't watched much of my content, I am a child-free person, mainly because I am the oldest of 4 siblings. I have 3 younger brothers, and I had way, way, way too much responsibility at way too young of an age to help with them, take care of them. And it was too much. It's way too much responsibility. So by the time I got out of the house, I felt like I had raised children, and it was time for me to have my childhood. So here we are. Okay, let's look at the comments here. Blondie Lock 24 said, "This is something men love doing." Yeah, I have to say that guy told on her because he wanted to just lock her down, just because he's a fucking misogynist. Have my baby, we'll be a perfect family. Then they dip as soon as you give birth, either mentally by not helping, or they just leave completely. These types of men hate responsibility, but are infatuated with the idea of a family. Coming to commented, "Hope any girl who is pregnant or ever considering read this. People gaslight. Never let anyone else impose their viewpoints on you when you so strongly feel the opposite. I'm sorry, girlfriend, from a fellow single mom. 14 years in, it's brutal. Resentment is hard to curb when it's beginning to set in, especially when kids get older and go through horrible times." Oh my God. So fucking depressing. And this misery, and the kids feel this, they absorb what their parents' energy is giving off, in my opinion. And so we've got miserable moms and miserable kids who at least are probably developing a anxious attachment style. It's just a fucking mess. And all of this could have been prevented with either a humble condom or a humble pregnancy termination, which takes all of 15 minutes. And of course, I know my religious super fans are going to come for me in the comments and tell me how the Bible says God said, be fruitful and multiplied. Well, we done been fruitful and multiplied way too many fucking times, in my opinion. So we need to settle down on the indiscriminate breeding, because then you get this. You get women who hate their lives, and that's a life wasted. And you get women who resent their children because they didn't want to have children. If you are the person who absolutely wants to have kids and wants to be the best parent you can be and raise the most well-adjusted, happy, able to handle ups and downs of life kind of humans, then you should have children. I'm talking about everybody else here. Everybody who is on the fence or doesn't know if they want kids, because there are way too many people out there who have never babysat an infant, who have never been around a toddler, who don't even have siblings or anything to teach them what it's like, how the 24/7 onslaught of responsibility. Okay, I am getting off the soapbox. So, last comment here. Aleremo commented, "You're not the only one who lives with that regret. And well, you're already more than halfway there. There are 12 numbers, God willing, you can move forward despite your ADHD condition. And I totally understand. It's like being with a rope around your neck that you would like to pull and end up hanging yourself. It's not bad to feel that way. I hope you can at some point get back to your life. I send you a hug." Oh, that's really a sweet comment. And that is true. There is nothing bad if you regret your children, if you fucking hate your kids and regret your kids because it has ruined your life. It's okay to express those feelings. That's why I am so glad that these forums exist where people can just be anonymous and spew their venom and at least have somewhere to get it out. Because as we all know, society has never provided, in the history of mankind, until the anonymous internet, a place for people to say, I wish I didn't have kids. This fucking sucks. So, yeah, I'm glad we're at that point. Okay, next post is from Throwaway Sitter Nurse, and it's called, I Wish I Had a Time Machine. And they are venting. I lurk in this subreddit a lot to ease my mind, but tonight I decided to make a small post just to vent, I guess. This is my throwaway account. I have a 2-year-old boy and a 4-month-old boy. Oh my goodness, lady. No, ma'am. What are you thinking? Don't ask me why I had 2. It was a mistake on my part to have 1. And an even bigger mistake to have 2. I let my hormones rule my head and tricked me into thinking having a second baby would be fine. I felt guilty that he wouldn't have a sibling. I don't know why people think there's anything to that, like my kid will be lonely if they don't have a sibling. Your kids are going to go to school. They're going to make friends. They're going to be out in the world. And what kid doesn't want all of their parents' love and attention? I mean, I fucking wished my whole life I was an only child. I am my dad's only child, so I did get to live that aspect a little bit. But kids don't need a sibling to figure out how to make friends. That's just so stupid. She goes on, I have never been so unhappy with my life until I had kids. Nothing helps except when my mother-in-law takes them for the night and I get a small taste of freedom. I work while my partner is the stay-at-home dad. I actually prefer being at work than at home with the kids. How sad is that? Well, that's not sad at all, because as so many child-free people have screamed from the rooftops, not everyone is meant to be a parent. Nature, or God, if you prefer, has to put some kind of population control in place. So why is that strange? You don't have to reproduce. There's 8.5 billion of us motherfuckers on this planet, and that is way too many, in my opinion, of course. Okay, this person goes on. My kids deserve a better mom. I don't know what else to do besides power through every day and hide my misery. I do my best to make sure they are happy, healthy, safe, and loved. But inside, I just feel like running away from it all. I feel like dying. I actually think she feels like just going to sleep and being able to just sleep peacefully for an unlimited amount of time. Please don't suggest therapy. I have tried it. It's too expensive and it never helped. I have no idea why people say kids are worth it. I don't feel fulfilled and experience no joy whatsoever. With motherhood. Ugh. I feel like it is the greatest lie ever told to us. Yeah, I agree with this woman. She was sold a bill of goods, and unfortunately, like so many other people, didn't have the extreme experience that I had. Like anything else, everything is a spectrum. So I had the extreme experience of being a 9-year-old parent, essentially. And that cured me of wanting kids of my own, because I saw exactly how hard it was, especially how hard it was for me because I was a kid. So, but most people, in my opinion, are just like in the middle somewhere where, yeah, they may have babysat some, but there was older kids, or, they held their little cousins when they were babies, but they don't have an understanding of how much it sucks. So they end up like this. And the problem is that baby is your life now. And you cannot deny that unless you are going to be labeled a bad parent and just live with it. Because that baby needs everything from you. And it's just tragic that people don't think about this. There's no returning them to customer service. Once you have a child, you are connected to that child as long as you live, even if the child dies before you. I mean, you all know this. I don't know why I'm blabbing like this, but this person goes on. I wish I had a time machine to go back before I had kids. I would sterilize myself. I wouldn't even think twice about it. I read that part already. I feel like it is the greatest lie ever told to us. If any of you are reading this and are on the fence about kids or are thinking about it, please reconsider. Your life becomes substantially worse with children. Trust me. Thanks for reading. And of course, the comments have been turned off on this post, which is from a few months ago anyway. Atari 2600 Forever, there's a Gen Xer for you, said, I don't know if this helps, but I feel the same way, like exactly the same way. Someone who deleted their account commented, I have said the same thing over and over. It is a lie, and the biggest lie ever told. Yes, and in previous centuries, in my opinion, of course, that lie needed to be told. Maybe at that point in history, human history, we did need to encourage people to have kids, but fuck it, man. Since the 1970s, we're done with that. We don't need that. No one can afford to have kids except the rich. And what are the futures of these children brought up in paycheck to paycheck lifestyles, with, the working poor, which is essentially all of us if you're in the US? It's just not good for the human race. And so we've got to stop lying to people. And at least, as I always say, these forums exist so that people can read the truth. Man, I am just on the soapbox today. Okay. This person who deleted their account goes on. The whole point behind it is to create new slaves to continue the system, and we continue to fall for it. I will never stop my kids from having children of their own if they truly want to follow this path. However, I will tell them that the absolute truth when they ask me about how shit it really is. Nobody helps you. You are isolated, and it seems these boomer grandparents get a rise out of watching you struggle and suffer. Yeah, because they all lived through the Depression as children. So they don't want to help you out. They want your kids to know what it was like to go hungry. I mean, I'm exaggerating, obviously. She goes on, nope. I do not recommend the absolute most illogical decision a person can make. It's purely driven by emotion, agreed. And the fantasy of what we think it will be like, agree even more. Thanks to the systemic conditioning and nothing else. True. That's true. There is no evidence of any kind that if a person does not want children, does not want to be down in the trenches sacrificing the way good parents do, they shouldn't have kids. And that's okay. Not everyone is meant to have kids. It's just a tragedy that so many people's lives are wasted having children they don't want because society and their family and whoever else tells them they should. Okay, this person goes on. What I really hate is the amount of parents who lie about it, or the grandparents or other relatives who pressure happy, child-free people to make such a mistake. And then when you ask for the help, crickets. Personally, I say a big fuck you to all the people in my life who lied about this. Honestly, fuck you. And Fruit Loop 696 said, absolutely right, masterpiece comment. Barbara BM86, therapy does not help in terms of making parenthood joyful, I think. For me, it did not work also. Therapy could help you to accept your current situation and find ways to cope with your everyday life. Good luck, girl. Polar Star 89 said, let go of the shame. You have a job that you like. Your partner is home with the kids. The kids are taken care of. They're not suffering. You take care of people all day long at work, and then you come home and you take care of 2 young children. Cut yourself some slack. Hey, that's pretty cool too. And guess who said that? Someone who's not a parent. So they can actually think straight. Okay, last post today. I've been a little bit under the weather all weekend, so I'm going to cut this a bit shorter than I normally do. So this post is from NextSpot 2807, and it's titled, I Miss My Old Life. Venting, no advice. I wish I could go back in time and stop myself from having a child. I feel empty, broken, and lost. I miss everything about who I used to be and the freedom I used to have before having a kid. I don't even recognize myself in the mirror. I've become my own stranger. I feel like I can't even doom scroll social media because all I see are fragments of my old life when I was happy and old friends having the time of their lives while I'm stuck at home changing diapers and washing bottles all day. I'm miserable. I feel like I'm living in hell. Nothing makes me happy anymore. I would do anything to go back in time. That post really just kind of crystallizes how people feel when they do not do their due diligence in researching what it's going to be like to have a baby, and they do not wait until they're of an age where they're more prepared. This person doesn't say how old she is, but I would bet you she's in her 20s, and you don't have to have kids in your 20s. In fact, nowadays, you should not have kids in your 20s. Now that we know that the human brain doesn't finish developing until 25 or 26, just do not make any major decisions before that point. The comments on this post, Toby Dinkus MD said, "You are not alone. I feel like a stranger to myself is quite possibly the most resonant thing I have ever heard. I hate where life took me." And that's the problem, because life didn't take you that way. You made a series of decisions that brought you to that point. But in the case of people who are teenagers and early 20s, when they're making this decision, they don't have the brain power to realize the full weight of what they're doing. And I'm not saying that teenagers and, early 20-somethings are stupid. They just don't have the decision-making skills and the prefrontal cortex to make smart decisions like that. All they can think about is the cute picture with them with the cute baby, the cute happy baby on their hip, and how that's like an accessory they want. And of course, yes, there are exceptions to every rule, but for the most part, it's a fucking bad idea to have kids before you're 30. In my opinion, of course. Technical Alfalfa 528 said, "Oh yes, this happened to me too. I got so bad that I even had to get some hyaluronic acid injected to recover something. I had aged 10 years in 10 months. Sending a hug." Holy crap. Live Fitness 101 said, "I think about this at least once a day. Just 5 minutes, where I wish I could go back and either get on birth control, which, yes, can fail, like I originally was going to do at 16, or do things differently. When I first found out about my child, of course, now that she is Earthside," that's a new one to me, "I'll do anything for her, but I just hate that everyone just sees me as a mother now." Yeah, that's a bummer. That's something that younger people, and even people that have kids later in life sometimes don't realize that once you have a kid, your life is about the kid. You have the kid's life. You are that kid's mom or dad. That's your identity. So if you don't want that, then please do not have kids. Please get a vasectomy, get sterilized, do whatever you got to do. This person goes on, like, "That's all I am to anyone anymore. I miss having independence and being able to come and go as I please. I wish this was more talked about." Even my gynecologist was giving me the whole, "Oh, I'm a single mom and it's hard, but it works," when I tried to ask about the other options. And she asked me to call the office to tell her my decision, which now looking back was crazy. I'm not a single mom, but it feels like I am. Everything falls on me, and I wish I could just have a week just to myself again and do whatever I want. Wow. And the last comments on this, Dry Location 1824 said, "I can totally relate. It's a hard thing living with guilt as well as trying to do the best for our children." Okay, Butterfly 5961 said, "Is motherhood really that bad? I haven't had kids yet, but I'm considering it and I'm curious. I don't know. Maybe it's just my biology wanting me to reproduce." Yes, it is. I don't actually think about motherhood or being a mother, or the being a mother part, just the passing on my genes part. Oh my God, please don't reproduce. Live Fitness 101 said, "Something I wish I did was nanny so I could see how kids really are and base my decision off that. If you can see yourself enjoying motherhood, then yes, but I wouldn't say going into it as passing your genes off is a good enough reason. No, it's not. There are few good enough reasons for having children in this day and age. That sounds harsh, but it's not a lie when people say kids are a lot of work, but they don't go into the reality of it until you are on the other side. Do you value getting good sleep? Do you value having the freedom to get up and leave whenever you want? Not having to answer to someone 24/7? These are just things to consider. And what I wish someone really sat down and told me before I had a kid. And that is what I have for you today, guys. If you like this video, please do all the YouTube things and like it. Please subscribe to the channel. I want to say a million thank yous to everyone who helped us recently pass the 2,000 subs mark. I'm really so glad that there are so many good people who want to come and listen to me talk shit on the internet. So I now put out content every Sunday and every Wednesday. So I will see you guys in a few days in the next video. Thank you so much.